There's messy, and then there's whatever Meghan Markle is doing right now. Because somehow in the middle of one of the worst PR spirals of her career, she decided to double down and say something so wildly tone-deaf. Even her most loyal defenders are going silent. Netflix is bleeding from this partnership. And Meghan, she's tossing more gasoline on the fire, talking about toxic masculinity, misunderstood independence, and why her infamous pregnancy dance video is actually a masterclass in womanhood. Yeah, that video, the one that got dragged across every corner of the internet, like it was a meme born to die. So, let's rewind just a bit. Netflix, already in deep trouble after the flop that was with Love Meghan Season 1, is scrambling. Ratings tanked. Test audiences cringed. Executives like Ted Sarandos and Greg Peters are basically in damage control mode 24/7. Meghan, meanwhile, is out here treating every interview like it's her own TED Talk on empowerment, except no one's inspired. They're just confused. And if the goal was to get people talking again, well, mission accomplished, just not in the way she hoped. Here's what lit the latest fire. Meghan went on this long rant about diversity, equity, and inclusion. DI. And okay, those are real issues, but she didn't just highlight them, she hijacked them. She said that anytime someone criticizes diversity, it's because they're either a sexist or a misogynist. Like, straight up, no nuance, no wiggle room. If you don't vibe with her version of diversity, then you must hate women. And let's just say that didn't land well. People weren't even mad. They were baffled because lumping every criticism into some anti-woman conspiracy doesn't just feel lazy, it feels manipulative. But then she took it further, way further. She said there's a virus of toxic masculinity spreading through the entertainment industry, and that it's silencing women, forcing them into submission, and even teaching them how to parent. She claimed women in America don't know how to be independent anymore. And apparently the cure to all of that is grabbing a camera while pregnant and doing a dance routine for the internet. That was her example. That was her solution. That's the hill she chose to die on. She doubled down on the infamous pregnancy video like it was some sort of revolutionary act. According to her, that dance, yeah, the one that triggered a tidal wave of secondhand embarrassment across social media, wasn't just her being quirky. It was her reclaiming her womanhood, rewriting what it means to be powerful. She even said the people who mocked it were soulless and lacked a sense of humor. I mean, seriously, that's her counterargument. Not even an attempt to meet criticism halfway. Just you're all uneducated and joyless. The real issue is that Meghan doesn't seem to understand the difference between personal expression and public spectacle. The video wasn't controversial because she danced while pregnant. It was controversial because it felt performative, staged, like it existed purely to grab attention under the guise of empowerment. And now she's out here telling mothers across America to do the same thing, to copy her blueprint, film themselves, and chase that same viral validation. And if you don't, well, then you're not independent. You're not evolved. You're just part of the problem. And let's not forget what this is doing to Netflix. Behind closed doors, insiders say the execs are quietly panicking. The reshoots for Love Meghan Season 2 are turning into a logistical nightmare. There's tension between Meghan and the higher-ups. Funding is being pulled from other shows to prop this one up. And audiences, they're not buying any of it. Not the message, not the comeback attempt, not the rebrand. Ted Sarandos might be regretting everything right about now. When he greenlit with Love Meghan, he probably thought it'd be Netflix gold, a perfect mix of celebrity, royalty, and controversy. Instead, he got a public meltdown dressed as a docu-series. And now that Season 2 is in production limbo, with half the team trying to rewrite the script and the other half trying to dodge Meghan's next interview, it's looking more like a cautionary tale than a content win. What's worse is how unpredictable it's all become. Meghan's been throwing interviews like confetti, each one more chaotic than the last. He's speaking like a lifestyle guru on a mission to save womanhood. But the way she talks about respect and expression makes it seem like she's living in a bubble where social backlash doesn't exist. She said, and this is nearly word for word, that respect should be automatically given to anyone who contributes to society and makes people laugh. Not earned, just handed over like a participation trophy, which sounds less like empowerment and more like entitlement, honestly. And then she hit us with the wildest part. She said that if men understood what it meant to be with a woman, they'd stop criticizing her. That people who mock her simply don't have a soul. Like, forget freedom of opinion. If you don't worship her performance art, you must be dead inside. This isn't just a PR issue. It's a credibility issue. Because every time she talks, she peels back another layer of how out of touch she really is with public sentiment. Meanwhile, test screenings for Season 2 haven't gone well at all. One source called it a total identity crisis on camera. Another called it unwatchable. And that's not just about the content. The vibe is off. Meghan's on-screen persona feels forced, like she's playing a version of herself she thinks people want. But even that's unclear. Is she a modern feminist icon? A misunderstood artist? A mother with a message? No one knows. And worse, no one seems to care. The biggest red flag, even Netflix staffers are distancing themselves. Multiple anonymous crew members have said morale on set is at an all-time low. Some are calling it the most frustrating shoot they've worked on. Constant rewrites, creative control fights, and tension between Meghan's team and Netflix's own production crew. And despite everything, Meghan still wants more say. She wants to rewrite parts of the show to better reflect her journey, which sounds poetic until you remember this is supposed to be a series, not a therapy session. Then there's the politics. Apparently, Meghan's been trying to loop in figures like Gavin Newsom and Kayleigh Harris for cameo-style interviews, probably to add credibility or just stir the pot a little more. But insiders say neither camp is on board. In fact, there's been subtle pushback. Nobody wants to be tied to a sinking ship, especially one sailing straight into controversy. And if those political bridges start burning, Meghan loses even more leverage in Hollywood. Relationships matter here, and right now, she's torching them faster than Netflix can fix the damage. What's wild is that she still thinks she's making a difference. She's still pitching the narrative that she's ahead of the curve, that she's being attacked because she's too bold, too honest. But there's a difference between bold and reckless. And if you ask most people watching this unfold, Meghan's not starting a movement. She's unraveling one. The platform's still there, sure, but every time she speaks, she chips away at what little trust remains. Netflix hasn't officially pulled the plug, but the writing's all over the wall. The production delays, the bloated costs, the constant rewrites. It's not just a struggling show anymore. It's a corporate headache. And for Ted Sarandos, this might go down as one of the worst gomlas in streaming history. Because what started as a high-profile partnership has turned into a slow-motion implosion that no amount of PR spin can salvage. Behind the scenes, executives are scrambling to minimize the damage. Meetings have shifted from creative brainstorms to legal evaluations, discussing how quietly distance the platform without triggering a full-blown media storm. Meghan's contract might still have episodes left, but insiders say there's serious discussion about whether airing them is even worth it. The fear isn't just that the show will flop again. It's that it'll drag Netflix's already fragile reputation down with it. One bad headline is survivable, but this is a never-ending storm. The crew isn't faring much better. Morale on set has hit rock bottom. Staff have started leaking details anonymously, describing the atmosphere as hostile, directionless, and negotiably beyond belief. Some have walked off. Others are staying just to collect a check. But no one's proud of what they're building. And Meghan, instead of easing tensions, is reportedly pushing harder for creative control. She wants to film new monologues, edit out anything disempowering, and even insert more footage from her past, including the infamous pregnancy video. She claims it adds context. Everyone else calls it tone-deaf. Social media, as expected, hasn't been kind. Clips from her recent interviews are getting ratioed to oblivion. That one line where she said that respect should be automatically given to anyone who tries to bring joy to others is being mean into oblivion. TikTok is flooded with reaction videos mocking her tone. Twitter threads are dragging her every sentence. Even Instagram pages that once defended her are starting to go quiet, not because they turn on her, but because there's nothing left to defend. And yet Meghan still seems convinced she's leading a revolution. In her mind, the backlash is proof she's doing something right. She said multiple times that real change always meets resistance, and that the criticism just means she's triggering the right people. It's a noble-sounding mantra, except the people being triggered aren't political opponents or outdated institutions. It's the very audience she claims to represent. Women, mothers, professionals, people who should have been her base are calling her out for trying to redefine empowerment through stage theatrics and performative victimhood. There's also the financial angle. Netflix poured millions into this project. They expected international buzz, subscriber boosts, maybe even an award campaign. What they got instead was a franchise that's become a case study in celebrity overreach. With Love, Meghan didn't just underperform, it actively damaged the brand. Viewership didn't just dip, it tanked. And Season 2, if it even makes it to air, could face one of the lowest launches in the platform's history. But here's the kicker. Meghan still wants more. Sources close to her say she's been quietly pitching another spin-off, a new documentary, this time centered on emotional rebirth and navigating toxic systems through vulnerability. She's already lined up a list of preferred directors and wants full executive control. Netflix hasn't responded yet, but based on how things are going, the answer might already be obvious. In the end, Meghan didn't just miss the mark. She redrew it so far from where her audience stood that there's no bridge left. Not to Netflix, not to her fan base, and definitely not the version of herself she's trying so hard to